Travis vibes. Positive vibes. Always.
Hey, welcome back to Travis Vibes. My name's Travis Irby. I'm a professional vibe coder. I quit my corporate tech job where I was an engineering manager for 5 years. And yeah, I'm vibe coding web apps on YouTube. So join me. This is my ongoing series where I'm trying to vibe code my first app into production to make money using ChatGPT's Image One image capabilities. This is where we turn a new leaf after some struggles in part two. So thanks. I really appreciate everyone that's followed and reached out and sent me both positive and critical feedback. Just keep it coming. I'm so pumped. The energy, I'm really having a great time. So stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, please help me out. I'm here in my garage just trying to make a living on YouTube. So yeah, stay tuned. To recap what happened in part two, titled The Struggle. It was a struggle. We ran into an issue where V0 was attempting to integrate with ChatGPT Image One, which is the API integration that we need in order to edit the house photo that users will upload. So it was aware of the API. We did have to let it know that its initial integration with DALL-E 3 was outdated and that it needed to use the latest ChatGPT Image 1. Don't trust that the LLMs are going to know the latest and best version of tools or even the latest and greatest tool. You need to do some of that research yourself. You can leverage AI to do that research, but you still have to research it and then guide on whether or not it's selecting the proper tool for the job. So we caught that issue. We redirected it to use ChatGPT Image One, but still it failed to integrate. It's hard to debug. And that's a problem that I have with the full web-based vibe coding platforms like Vercel, Replit, Lovable, TempoKit. Some of these I haven't even tried, and I want to try more of them. And I think they're going to continue to mature. And ultimately, that's where I think most people will want to vibe code because it's a platform that you can jump onto easily in the cloud on any device. You can really treat it like a chat experience, and you don't need to worry about what's happening under the hood. I think we're a little early for that when it comes to anything beyond landing pages and presentation type apps. If you don't need any kind of backend capability with what you're building, you can probably get away with using one of these full web-based cloud vibe coding platforms. But our application, housebrush.com, does require backend integration with ChatGPT API. And I need to get into the weeds a little bit more, not to code, but to debug and to help determine the best way to build this. So in comes the tool that is going to hopefully save us and help us, Cursor. Cursor is blowing up. The amount of revenue they've generated this year is astronomical. And that's because it's the way that more experienced engineers are typically vibe coding, or at least using AI code assist tools. So Cursor is an IDE that has AI LLM vibe coding capabilities built in. We will dive into using Cursor for the next step in our vibe coding journey. Okay, so we have Cursor up now over there. And this is a blank slate. I have a blank folder, and I'm not going to bring over the repo, the code base that we vibe coded in Vercel v0 yet. We may utilize that app. We can grab it off of GitHub. But right now, my focus continues to be on, can we validate that we can vibe code the core functionality that our web app needs? The core functionality that we need to validate is that we can integrate with the ChatGPT Image 1 API, and we can send a photo of a house and data about the new color, and it will send back a edited photo of the house with the new color painted on it. Because we want to make sure that we are successful, we need to focus on validating that we can build this. The best way, in my experience, to validate a functionality like this is to do a POC, a proof of concept that's not something where you're going to keep the code. You're not worrying about it being stable, about it being bug free, even, but you want to make sure that it does the core functionality that you need. So we're going to just build a POC of the ChatGPT Image 1 integration in Cursor, which is our new super powered IDE for vibe coding a little bit closer to the code than we were with Vercel v0. All right, let's go. So you can see we have a chat window on the right, and we're going to eventually have files and code on the main area and on the left. Okay, so I'm kicking off our initial prompt where I just described what we want our POC to do. We want to integrate with ChatGPT Image 1, and I want to be able to send a photo and a description and get an edited photo back from their API. We're getting back a response from Cursor. I'll help you build a POC that integrates with the ChatGPT image editing API. Let's create a simple web app that allows users to upload an image, a description, and get back an edited version. And it recognizes that we have an empty workspace. I don't always think it actually is a good idea to start with an empty workspace. If you can start with a core example code base that has a lot of the initial setup that you would be using anyway, definitely do that. So it's going to build a Next.js application with TypeScript. Those are standard frameworks and tools for vibe coding, and it's what I'm comfortable with because I come from Node.js and JavaScript background. So that's going to be great for us. It's letting us know that it can't create the .env.local file. That's fine. That is a file that is ignored by GitHub so that we don't store any secrets on our GitHub repo like we talked about in part 2. And so it's very important that you make sure that you're not committing this file to GitHub. It'll store our API keys. Hey, we're building a lot of other scaffolding for our project. You can see it's using Tailwind for the styling, which is another very popular common tool that is kind of the go-to for vibe coding and highly recommended. All right, so it's saying that it has built the app and that we just need to run in our terminal. We hop into Chrome and open up localhost 3000 where our local web app is running. And we hit a build error. So because we started from scratch with our repo, this is going to be pretty common. We're probably going to have to work through a few errors to get to a working starting point. The error that we are seeing in the Chrome tab, we also see in the terminal of the command line where our app is running. Yeah, it's actually something simple. This is a common step the first time you are setting up your code base locally. We have to run npm install. Hey, look at this. So after just one error fix, we have a working little app here, a little POC. And this is going to be great because we can just focus purely on, can we get the capability working with ChatGPT Image 1? We don't need to worry about how it looks or anything else. We resolve the issue with the OpenAI import error by doing an npm install. And now we are hitting a different error, which I'm usually happy about. Progress if the errors are moving and changing. We have a new error about 400 response from the API, which is promising. It looks like maybe we're not passing the right kind of data to OpenAI's API. So I pass the error message to Cursor to see what it makes of it. Yeah, we're converting the image to a file object, and OpenAI APIs expects, oh, I'm sorry, OpenAI API expects a file object, and we're converting it to a base 64 string. So we're basically passing the wrong type of data to OpenAI. This should be something that Cursor can handle. And it says we should now test again. In this case, we didn't get any visible error. Change this to a blue house. What I will do is open up my Chrome Inspector, the dev tools. This is your debugging home. You will be using this a lot to see what errors we get and what kind of data is being passed via API calls. That's what you can see in the network tab versus the console tab is where you're going to see all of your errors and other console logs. Okay, interesting. That time we did get a 500 failed to process image. It looks like it doesn't like the new format either. I'm not going to start a new context or a new session this time because this is an ongoing issue with the existing error and the changes that it just made. So we're going to stay here. And it looks like it's going to make modification so that it's always using a PNG, which is good for now. And cursor's telling us to test again. Still getting an error. All right, we're still working through this issue with sending the file to the OpenAI API. I explicitly switched over to Gemini 2.5 as the model we're using because I've had a lot of success with vibe coding. So by default, Cursor will say auto select, which says it balances quality and speed, recommended for most tasks. I don't really like that because I don't like not knowing which model I'm working with. I'm not necessarily saying Gemini 2.5 Pro is always the best. Sometimes it's good to try a few different models if you're stuck on something because each one can have success in a particular scenario. But let's see if Gemini 2.5 Pro can work through the issue with the file format. What's strange is that I am uploading a PNG. Am I not? Oh, it's a JPEG. Okay. All right. My bad, everyone. I was uploading a JPEG instead of a PNG, which it was expecting. And for now, we want to try to just give it the base, easiest happy path case, which is the file format it wants. Of course, we're going to have to either handle additional formats or throw some kind of error to make it clear what we do support. Now I have a new PNG of our house. Change the house to blue. Still getting this error. All right, Gemini is cranking out a lot of stuff here. It is frustrating, Gemini. Thank you. I agree. What can we do? I'm not loving that we're struggling already this much just on sending the file. Let's cross our fingers and try this version. I'm reading that straight from Google Gemini Pro. So yeah. We're all vibe coding here. I'm vibe coding, Gemini is vibe coding. Let's see. It says to cross our fingers and try again. Well, it didn't work, Gemini. We still have this error. Ooh, I don't have any more meat. I don't have any more meatballs for you, Gouda. Get out of here. Hey. Oh. All right, we are working through this error with the PNG. Seems like Gemini is getting more annoyed by the prompt here. So we're back to error. Hi, Gouda. Gouda. Hi. Oh yeah, I think it's the first time you're on the channel. You say hi? Say hi to YouTube? Hmm? Say hi to YouTube? We determined that if we pass a PNG and it's under a certain file size, then it was working. Determined, yes, the data was coming back. Now we are just adding a little preview of the file that gets picked. Yeah, so now we have this. Now let's say we want make this house yellow. Let's see. It's not fast. That is one problem. But people, I think, will wait when they see the results. Wow. Love this. All right. We're doing it. Okay. This is big. This is a milestone. This is when you get excited. This is what it's all about. I was stuck in some errors, some debugging. It felt like a while there that, are we actually going to be able to vibe code this? This is the same kind of feeling you get when you're coding as well. You get stuck in a bug. You feel like, am I going to be able to fix this? Am I ever going to figure this out? It's a feeling that you eventually get used to because you build up the confidence to realize, yes, I am going to figure this out, or I'm going to keep Googling, or I'm going to reach out to somebody. I will resolve this one way or another. And vibe coding is no different. Me and the LLM will figure this out. We did figure it out. And we've confirmed now that our core capability that we need for housebrush.com, which is sending a photo of a house to ChatGPT with a description of a new color, getting it back, it's working for us. This is awesome. This means we can now move on to making the core capability more solid. We need to be able to support other file types. We need to be able to support bigger files, but this is going to work. All right. Great job.